Probably you saw my previous video where I explained basic concepts of Kubernetes, or maybe you just skipped it because you don't like to hear about it, but you want to go straight to hands-on part. And this video is about hands-on. Today we will go through the process of creating our own cluster on Google Cloud, and we will deploy a sample application onto this cluster. Hold on tight, let's go! As you see, I'm now in my Google Cloud console, and it's security. Almost nothing happens here. Almost empty project. Let's click this sandwich button and go to the bottom to the Kubernetes engine. Here we click on clusters to create our first cluster. Most likely you will see something similar, or maybe a button like activate Kubernetes engine. Then you should activate it, obviously. And I'm going to create a cluster. In this page I can select one of the predefined templates for cluster, CPU intensive, memory intensive, GPU accelerated. So it basically changes the configuration of your cluster. But you can choose everything by your own. You can set up everything by your own. So that's why I'll pick standard cluster. I will enter some name. That will be some temporary name. I will use default params here. Zone, I will check something European, because I'm in Europe. That will be Europe West 1B. B is availability zone of the region West 1. This is the engine version. Here we will set up our nodes. Nodes will not be real servers, it will be like virtual servers, parts of our cluster, and we will keep it 3. If you want, you can add more pools. We will use just one, and the basic setup of machine. If you feel risky, you can go to advanced edit, check things here. Like you can change disk type to SSD, you can change the size of it, and so on and so forth. We'll keep it as is. Let's create it now. It will take some time. You don't have to wait in the video, but you will have to wait in the real life. Okay, it's still not completely ready. However, we can already go to this sandbox. We can already go to this cluster page and take a look what is happening here. Yeah, these are our settings, and here's a magic button, connect. Let's click on it. When you click on the blue button, run a Cloud Shell, it will open you a new Cloud Shell. It is a Cloud Shell which is detached from your cluster. It is a separate thing which you can use to manage multiple stuff in Google Cloud, and it will persist your preferences, like it will persist your volume. So if you log in and if you log out and log in back, you will see the same files you saved there. You can have some settings stored in your bash or C and so on. Please don't open it before copying this comment. Now I copied it. I'm going to Cloud Shell. Here I will open it for full screen. Okay, here it is. Takes some moments. Now it's ready. This comment, we need to get credentials for the Kubernetes engine for this Cloud Shell. It basically specifies here the cluster name, the zone we are in, and the project name, which is blurred here. Before moving forward, I recommend you executing this comment. This will add auto-completion for kubectl for our current bash session. And kubectl is the main command we will be working with. It provides us the API for Kubernetes. Let's start from kubectl get nodes, which will show us which nodes do we have in the cluster. So we have 3 nodes. They are ready. So beautiful. Let's check what we have else. We can also get pods. We don't expect any pods because we haven't created any, so it should be empty. Yes, it is. Cool. Another thing we already discussed in the theoretical part is deployments. Also no resources found. However, if we use this flag, all namespaces, it will show us not only those deployments which are related to our current namespace, but also system namespace and other namespace. Namespace you can use to separate different parts of your application in one cluster. So here we see the namespaces kube system, and there are multiple, and there are already, 7 services, 7 deployments. And those are some supportive stuff Google provides us at the start, like services for networking, for domain name resolution, and so on. We don't have to interact with them, it's just nice to know that they are pre-configured for us. And now it's time to create our own deployment. And we'll start with Nginx. I already have this file created, and I will quickly guide you through the lines, through the syntax, and you can type everything by your own, or you can go to the repo, which link to which I will provide in the show notes, and just copy it from there. The file name is Nginx deployment, as you see. So the first line just describes which API version should the interpreter use. Next one is the type of what this file is, and this file is deployment, so it will provide us the state we want to have for our pods. Next, just a name. This name will be used internally, so like when you will be doing kubectl get deployments, you will have Nginx deployment as a name in there. Beneath, we specify the exact definition of our deployment. First of all, it's the amount of replicas. As I told you, it will be 3 for now. So we expect that one pod will be deployed to one node. However, it is not always the case. It still might happen that 2 pods will be deployed on one node. Next, let's jump first to the template, then we will come back to selector. So template is a definition of your pod. Again, we have some metadata here. In metadata, we specify the app Nginx, which says that the application name will be Nginx. And again, beneath we have spec, which describes the details of this pod. So we'll have one container. If you are familiar with YAML, this notation, this dash means that it is an array. So we have just one element in array, one container, which will be Nginx. The name of this will be Nginx. An image will be Nginx, and the version, the tag will be 1.15. We don't specify here any URL, so it means that this Nginx will be taken from the official registry. And here's configuration of ports our container will have. Nginx will be running on port 80, so we'll specify here 80. And now coming back to the selector. In selector, we specify the label we have in the template. So that's why it's app Nginx, this pair of key and value. Okay, now let's save it and do kubectl create -f Nginx deployment. kubectl create will create anything based on the file, on the configuration we provide. So it can create service, it can create deployment, and as you remember in our definition, we have type deployment, kind deployment, so it will create deployment. And -f just means that there is a file which will be an input for this create command. So clicking enter, bang, deployment created. Wonderful, let's check the deployments. kubectl get deployments, deployment. Okay, we have 3, all of them are available and up to date. Great, and now we can already check our pods. We haven't checked this before, and here they are. 3 pods are already running and they are ready. And now we can check on which nodes they are deployed to. We will use -o wide, but this we're specifying the type of output. And here we can see, yeah, 2 of them are on the same node. And they even have some IP address. However, as I told you, this IP address is internal, so you cannot access it from the outside. And in order for us to get access to our Nginx instance, to our Nginx application, we have to create service. Let's do this. Let's create Nginx service. I already have the file as well. You can again go to the GitHub I provide in the show notes and copy it from there, or just type everything by your own. Again, going one by one, API version, this case, in this case it will be service, it will be not deployment. Same thing, metadata, and again spec. In spec we specify which type will it be. It will be load balancer, and which ports will it use. So this port will be port we are exposing from this service, and this port is a container port, protocol TCP, and selector app Nginx. You remember we specified app Nginx in the deployment file. This is exactly what we're using here, what we're searching for here. Okay, saving and using the same command, kubectl create -f, but this time it will be Nginx service. As you remember, I told you that kubectl create is type agnostic, kind agnostic, so you can provide any kind of definition there. So here it will be service. Creating, wonderful, service Nginx service is created. Now let's try to check what do we have. kubectl get service. Wonderful, we have our load balancer deployed here. Again, we have some internal API, internal IP address. However, the external is not ready yet. Once again, nope, still pending. We can use -w, which will mean watch. So we will wait for it to appear. I will skip the waiting time. It usually takes a couple of minutes, not too long. And here it is. We have this IP address. Let's try to curl it. Yep, here it is. We have welcome to Nginx. We can also open, oops. We can also open it in a separate tab. Yes, wonderful. So we have our application deployed. Before finishing this episode, let's check what have we actually created. First, let's take a look on get nodes. We have 3 nodes which we created manually from the Google Cloud interface. Then we have pods. Oops. Not -w but -o wide, because -w means watch and -o wide means output wide. So yeah, we have 3 pods deployed. one deployment running, which expects 3 applications to be running, and we created one service, which is load balancer. Wonderful. Let's say we want to increase the amount of replicas we are running. So let's go to Nginx deployment and change replicas to 4 here. And do kubectl apply -f Nginx deployment. kubectl get pods, and we should have 4 of them now. Yes, we have them. Yeah, there is one warning because we used apply, we used create instead of apply. You can use apply, like the same way we used kubectl create, you can use kubectl apply. What else do I want to show you is the way you can go into your container. Usually you don't have to do this, but it's just good to know that you can. For this you do kubectl exec -t pod name and the command we want to execute there, which will be bash, the shell. Okay, here we are. We enter this container as a root and we see the file system there. Yep, very neat. That's it. Now let's destroy everything. Let's clean everything. So I'm doing kubectl again get service. Here is my service, Nginx service. kubectl delete service. Yep, we don't have it anymore. Then deployment. We have 1 delete deployment, Nginx deployment. Removed. Yes, removed. And pods should be also empty now. Yes, pods are also empty. And nodes we still have, because they are the part of our cluster. We haven't managed nodes from here, we managed nodes from the Google Cloud interface.
Great job! Now you not only can understand the concepts of Kubernetes, but actually can create something with your own hands. I hope so. And by create something, I mean create a cluster and deploy an application onto this. In the next video, we will create tiny Node.js application, we will Dockerize it and deploy it, obviously, to the cluster. Sounds more challenging? Then stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe to not miss the video and have fun!